Hello and welcome. I am Donna Kuykendall from Central State University Extension. Thank you for joining me. Today we will be preparing smoky collard greens. Why smoky collard greens? Collard greens are packed with so many nutrients, vitamins and minerals, makes it an excellent superfood. It is packed with vitamins A, K, and C, minerals, it's folate, calcium, as well as some iron. So, collard greens. When we think about collard greens, I always think about New Year's. Not a New Year's goes by without collard greens being on the table. And so they are really a staple in African American culture. So today we're gonna do collard greens, but a little bit of a twist. We're gonna, they're already packed, as I said, with vitamins and minerals, but we're not gonna do a smoky meat, but instead we've got a secret ingredient I'll share with you that's gonna give it flavor and you're gonna love it, absolutely. So let's go over this recipe. So what we have here for this recipe, we're gonna use grapeseed oil to saute our onion. So we've got grapeseed oil, we've got apple cider vinegar that's gonna give it that pungent flavor that we love. We will be using some chicken broth, some smoked paprika, some kosher salt. And if you want a little kick, you can also add the cayenne. But again, that is optional. So let's go next to the sink because we got to get these greens washed. So when we're talking about washing our greens, we want to be sure that they are really thoroughly washed, and that's going to take a bath. When purchasing greens, either from the grocery store or from a farmer's market, they can have soil, they can have dirt, they can even have some really tiny bugs. And of course, we've got to get rid of those. So to do that, what we're going to do is first disinfect our sink, which I've already done. To disinfect your sink, you want to use a little bit of bleach or a cleaner and then thoroughly rinse the sink. When you begin washing your greens, what I like to do is to, after, of course, inspecting them, and these are actually some really good greens, and so not a lot of dirt on them, but we want to give them a thorough rinse. So I'm going to move the water over here to the right. I'm going to rinse each leaf, inspecting it, being sure that there's no visible signs of dirt or any bugs. And I'm going to go through all of these, of course. And for example, let me shut off this water. And so for example, when you typically buy collard greens, they're in a bunch, they may look like this. This is a little small one. You really want to get in there and separate those leaves. Of course, we're not going to be using the stalk part of it, the stem, but this is going to, open it up and looking at it is going to be able to reveal any dirt or bugs. And like I said, these are really, really good. Now I had a small bunch here, so I'm on the last leaf. Now next what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the stopper in. I'm going to fill the sink with cold water, and I'm going to let these soak. Just to really ensure that they are thoroughly clean, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. So if you excuse me, I'm going to let these run. You can take a look at that, and I'll be right back with the salt. So another alternative to salt would be baking soda. We're not going to douse it, but we're just going to get them in, and we're going to agitate these leaves in the water once our sink gets filled. That's good. So we're going to let that fill up because of course that's going to take a while. I'm going to wash my hands. Over here and then let that resume. So return to the cold water and we'll let that run. But I've already got some greens prepared, so we're gonna head on over back to the station. So the next step is gonna be chopping up our collards, and then of course our onions. So let me grab that. And both of these have been thoroughly washed. So starting with the collard greens, you want to stem them. And as you can see, these have been destemmed. But really, I want to give you a really good example of that. So let me grab one of these over here that, of course, I will return to the sink. But when you're destemming your greens, you can do it one of a couple ways. You can either fold the leaf in and start tearing it apart, and that is actually a really great job for your kids. So kids in the kitchen really get excited when they can be hands-on, when they can help out, and so this would be a great activity. When the kids get a little bit older and have got some knife skills, this is also another great activity for them to do in the kitchen. But when you destem it, you just really want to take a knife and go down the side of the stem, just like that. And then you rip out the whole piece, and then you're done. So let me put this back in here, because of course it's got to be washed. Put that in there. I'm going to remove this one and change over to another cutting board. Let me rinse my knife. Okay, so working up over there. All right, so let's get moving to our chopping up these greens. So, whatever's comfortable for you works. But one suggestion I'm going to provide for you today is actually rolling your greens and cutting them into strips. When you're purchasing greens, you can alternatively purchase them in the bag, and most of the time when you purchase them in the bag, they're chopped up. If you want to do that at home, that is fine. But this makes it fun, and this kind of also makes it fun for the kids. So I kind of roll it up just like that, get my knife, and then go in about a ½ inch or so. Just like this. Okay, and what you'll have is, didn't quite go through there, some strips just like this, just like that. If you don't like the strips this long, what you could do is gather them together and then go down the middle. But there you go. So I've got some more pre-cut greens over here, and so this is how they are. So we're going to put that over to the side. I'm going to add this here and then get started on this onion. And we want a diced onion. All right, my water's looking good, so I'm going to shut that off. Okay. So now to the onion. And today I've got 2 bunches of greens. I can get away with using just half of the onion because the greens, when you purchase them in the store, we talk about a bunch. That's really kind of varies from store to store, or how the grocery store bunches the greens. And so they were 2 bunches, but they were kind of small, so I'm only going to do like half the onion. So let me peel this back. There we go. little out the way. I'm gonna discard this. Don't want that. All right, so let's get this onion diced up. So some like a chunky dice, a larger dice, medium dice. Others like it fine. I'm gonna kind of leave this a medium dice because I kind of want to be able to see the onions. Of course, you're gonna cook down. So when you dive into the greens, you're not gonna get a real nasty bite. All right, so I'm gonna take a minute, clean up a little bit, and then we'll get started. Well, hey, welcome back. We got our kitchen tidy up and we are ready to go. So first we're gonna start off with our grapeseed oil, and we're gonna do a tablespoon there. That grapeseed oil is a pretty neutral oil, but really absolutely feel free to use what you have. No need to run out and buy any grapeseed oil. But when you're out shopping, do some comparative pricing. It's a neutral oil. What's nice about it is it's got a really high heat content, and so it is good to use. So we're gonna let that warm up a little bit. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna add our onions to it and then let them saute until they're translucent, probably around 4 to 7 minutes. Again, I've got this medium dice going on, and I did preheat my stock pot, so it was ready to go. And get that over here. So we're just gonna get these translucent, stirring occasionally. Not too much because we do want them to get going. I've got it at about a medium. Okay, so while we're waiting on that, what I did want to go over is the liquid smoke. So if you've not heard of liquid smoke is the key ingredient that's going to give us that smoky flavor. And liquid smoke is actually just like a flavor enhancer. And so it mimics that flavor that you give from a smoked turkey or a meat that you would otherwise use. But a little goes a long way. And so hence, we're only using a half a teaspoon. So you really want to be careful with this. Of course, if you think you need more after tasting the dish, then feel free to add it. Okay, so those are coming along really, really well. And I can also add that, to give it that, that vinegary taste that we like. We're using apple cider vinegar, but some other substitutions can be regular distilled vinegar, and to kind of give it that acidy taste. If you want to boost your vitamins and add some more ingredients, you can also do tomatoes. And so maybe that'll be a recipe that we do for another time. Okay, so these are coming along nicely, a little while. And so we've got our greens here. Again, the smoked paprika. If you really, again, need to have that, that punch, you can use some cayenne pepper. And so I've got that here. Now, after this sautés, we're going to add the greens, the collard greens. We're going to add some salt, and we're going to steam them for a little bit. So, typically when we cook, or traditionally maybe in other words, when we cook collard greens, we kind of have them cook for an extended period of time. But it's up to you. I like to have mine not really cooked throughout the day, 3 or 4 hours, but I like to cook them till they're tender. But collard greens, if you are not aware, you can eat them raw. Of course, after they're thoroughly washed, you can use them as a wrap. So substituting a tortilla, you can use your collard green. So you can make a wrap out of like turkey and chicken, shredded cheese, whatever you would like. So it makes a really great low carb, nutrient rich snack to do it that way. Okay, these are looking pretty good. So I feel confident that I can go ahead and just add my greens. And remember, these are gonna wilt down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start adding a little bit of salt because I wanna kind of get that in there in stages. And then what I gotta do, so I got half the pot emptied, and what I'm gonna do is just kind of stir it around and get those onions. So these were washed and they were dried, but when we have it at this medium heat level, and with the oil, it's going to draw out some water, and so they'll be able to steam. So let me go and put some more and finish this off. And get my salt in there. Okay, we're good there. I'm gonna cover it and then let this steam for a few minutes. And we'll be back. All right, now it has been 5 minutes. Our greens have been steaming and they are looking great. That bright green color. Let me see if I can get you all to see a little bit of that. Can you get that? Mm-hmm. Okay. I love that color green. Okay, so next we're gonna go in with our smoked paprika. And so this, of course, paired with the liquid smoke is really gonna bring in that flavor for us. Gonna get that incorporated in. Stir that around. So yeah, so this is nice and steamed. Just kind of go in, take that smoked paprika, stir it around, get it thoroughly distributed. Cool, I like this. All right. Then we're going to add in our apple cider vinegar. And then our last 2 ingredients are 2 cups of chicken broth. So actually, you know what? This is not completely vegan. So as an alternative, you can use vegetable stock. And now for our liquid smoke. All right. So everything is in. So now we just need to let it cook. Now these are gonna cook for about 45 minutes. And then you're probably thinking like, just really 45 minutes? But again, at 45 minutes, they will be done. And they will be tender. So if you like them more tender, if it's not to your liking, feel free to kind of cook it a little bit longer, but it doesn't really need to cook all day. Okay, so we'll be back. All right, welcome back. So our collard greens have been cooking 45 minutes. So we are ready to, we've turned down the heat. We're gonna plate these up, give you an opportunity to check these out. So let's talk about this. So, you know, traditionally we like to have pot liquor in our greens, and that's good, that's cool, that's cool. This does not render a whole lot. It has some, but not a whole lot. You know what, the spatula ain't working for me. Let me get this spoon. Oops. Okay, so this pot liquor is, you can see the red from the smoked paprika. I'll take some out of it and pour it over. So there we have it. Okay, our dish is finished, our smoky collard greens. So they've plated up. You can check them out here. They do have flavor. I've tried them. Really, that smoky flavor, so you will not miss the meat. They are tender. They do have a little bit of a bite, but still nevertheless tender. So I encourage you to try it. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon.